I'm Rokk. Welcome to my channel. It's dinner time, and I'm going to show you a way that I add some extra to plain old ground pork so it has more of a sausage-like flavor. Delicately balanced computer here, and there's a light over here, and there's a light here, and there's a light here. And the first thing I'm going to do is I have prearranged spices here. I got ground turmeric, I got ground cumin, I got onion powder, I've got garlic powder. Some of this, actually, I'm going to have to use a knife to get it unsalted. Red pepper. I will use salt, but I'm going to use that at the very end. Okay, and one of the things I like to do is I like to use the spices directly on the plate. You don't want to get too heavy-handed with turmeric because it does have a bitter element to things. But one thing, turmeric is really good to use with black pepper because they have a symbiotic relationship and they increase the bioavailability of all the nutrients. So I'm going to shake some finely ground black pepper. I much prefer the coarse ground, but this won't cover up as much of the raw meat when we're about to fry it. So now this is where it's going to be tricky. I'm going to need, if you can't grab a knife that's metal when you're filming, a chopstick will do. Just anything to break up this so that I can shake some onto. One thing with powders, I notice you have to be careful if you're shaking them onto grease because they can kind of get things gummy during the frying process. In my packing, I actually already have some silverware already set aside, and I prefer to use plastic for myself because I don't like metal in my mouth. But sometimes you really do need metal utensils, and I had some set aside. Okay. We're seasoning pork, so you don't want to go lightly on the aromatic seasonings. Onion powder here. Cumin. This is another seasoning you don't want to get too heavy-handed with because it will get a bit of a bitter element. Now, I washed my hands a couple different times, but I'm going to wash them again before I do what I'm about to do here. And it's going to be tricky because, as you can see, I got wires to deal with. The last thing I'm going to add to this are the red pepper flakes, but I will definitely add them. Give this a real kick. Now, people laugh at me when I tell them this, but when I get ground beef or any kind of meat products, I always like to wash the packaging also. Can you imagine if you didn't and you use a clean knife or something, or you touch things, you'd be transferring germs to things that wouldn't otherwise have germs? So I'm going to take this, and since it's nice and thawed out, I'm going to just put it on top of my spice mixture here. And I'm going to you can do this one burger at a time, or you can do two, depending on the size of your plate. Now, this is specifically for my mom, but after I have one for her, then I'll do one for myself. And this really is so much better than just plain old ground pork. And you can also use this method if you're doing what they call the meatloaf mix, which is ground pork and ground beef and sometimes ground veal. Oh, on the subject of veal, I got my hands on some veal a couple weeks ago, and I cooked it up expecting it to really be this unusual, rare meat with a controversial history. And I ate it, and while it wasn't bad, not at all, but I didn't think that it was something, I didn't really quite see what the fuss was about. I was expecting something to be like, I guess if you've never had Dom Perignon before and you think, oh, $100 a bottle, this must be some big whoop. But then if you go and get clean and sober, you find out that you're never going to get to find out anyway. And maybe some people say it's all overrated. Anyway, this is enough for at least one really big burger, maybe possibly two. I don't know, but I'm gonna put the meat back here. Now I'm going to mix this all together so that, they say you shouldn't over mix ground beef because it makes it tougher, and I don't know if that's true with all ground things. I don't understand, because as long as you cook it carefully, and that means not getting distracted by the internet so things burn before you realize you have something on the stove. Let's not do anything idiotic like I may have done a time or two in my life, but, and you can see I have no fans running. I even turned off the fans in my room studio so that there would be very little interfering with the audio. And if the audio still sucks, too bad. Now, when I go in my mom's room, I'm going to have to grab for her remote, and I'm going to have to mute what she's watching on TV because she understands that will ruin the audio. She does have a fan on, and we're not going to take her fan off. Oh, you see, this wasn't very much. Now, I already poured oil in this pan, but you know what? I think I may splash a little bit more in. I love our cast iron. Do be careful you don't get it on the edge, because we don't want any conflagrations. That would not be a good thing. I'm trying to think where the some of what I'm going to need is drying in my mom's room. Now I'm going to real quickly wash my hands in another room so that I don't get caught up in this. Give me a minute. Alright, this is what I was looking for, and I'm gonna, now because all the flooring is all tilted all these different directions, everything goes down this way even though the stove's been propped up, so. did that, I might as well use this same plate and go and put seasonings on the one I'm going to use for myself. I can smell it already. Oh, you know what I forgot? The black pepper flakes. Mm. See? Pork. One thing, don't have to worry about accidentally getting it halal. You ever get some meat and realize that, like, I got my hands on some goat last week. And I thought that's a real treat. I'd only had it once before, and I actually made curried goat from it. Well, this was ground goat, and it wasn't gamey at all. It was very mild. But unfortunately, oh yeah, it was from Australia. But unfortunately, on the wee small print, it said always halal certified. And I think, oh man, you know, when you get things that are halal and you don't want to use halal products, there's always a psalm that I use that I read in a Vincent Price voice to try to kind of undo it. You know, I forget which one it is. You Bible scholars probably know. I don't know if it's Psalm 119 or it's one of the angry ones that kind of seems to be like, you know, this dude ain't messing around kind of thing. When you need somebody to be in your corner and kick some ass, you know. I don't know. Just, if you're going to use something that is the same thing that was said to our American soldiers when we were tortured and thrown in fire pits, or when the poor innocent people in Israel were killed on October 7th, you know, I care about the meat sources and how they were killed, and, you know, yes, you can be an ethical carnivore. Just because I'm not a vegetarian doesn't mean I don't have ethics as far as things about my meat and where it comes from. I wish you could smell that. I can't touch anything now because I got meat hands. I'm back. I'm back. And I'm gonna probably fit myself. Oh, yeah. Oh. Wet hands, wet hands. No, I deliberately grabbed a bunch of, there we go, pieces of wet paper towel, just so I'd have something clean to dry hands with. I'm gonna have to go carefully through this obstacle here to get plates. Alright, now I'm gonna get some kind of bread. I really like open face. It's a way to eat a lot less bread product, you know. And then if you do use a bread, you use something really, really wonderful. Okay. What I am looking for is some sourdough. That is somewhere. Anybody trying to say that there's no food? There's food, trust me. Some things it's kind of hard to store. I hope this is the, oh, the sourdough. Yeah. The only thing that's a little bit of a pain about sourdough is it's usually not cut, and you have to cut it. But all you need is decent bread knives. Another thing, with the packaging is all wrong. I gotta talk to this company. Okay, imagine you're all stoked because you got a really wonderful loaf of bread. This is by a ShopRite's Bowl and Basket Company. It says olive oil ciabatta loaf. I like to call it ciabatta, but it's ciabatta. How you say it? They have one that's olive oil, garlic, and rosemary. If you ever find that, that's gold. There's only one problem. You got one end that's just twisted, right? Open. The other end, I don't know if they heat press it, what. It's not very tightly sealed, and you know how easy it is for this to drop on the ground? And you don't want to drop a good bread like this. I'm looking at the tag on this. I don't know if you could see what the hell it was. I think it was like $5.99 or some obscenity. But let me show you what the rest of it looks like. And if they had rosemary, it would have rosemary needles going through it. Nothing's stopping you from putting your own rosemary on this thing. Now, I have a decent-ish knife. Let's look at here. Oh, yes. Now, I'm contacting this company because I want to tell them about their packaging. Because what happens is if your bread does fall on your filthy, disgusting floor, what you have to do is you have to put the part that touched the floor, put it in the toaster oven. Put it in long enough for the germs to get killed. Because you're not going to waste bread, alright? Not good bread like this. And I'm definitely washing this again, even though it was sitting on the counter, because we got a couple of flies. And, you know. I just saw one of my friends outside on a bicycle. Hopefully there won't be any doorbells ringing while I'm doing this. I actually put a note on my door saying, filming in progress. Okay. Ooh. Alright, I am going to turn this over again. I just realized the day I'm filming this is Friday. This would probably be a good day to go out, even though right now obviously I can't. I'm going to cut this in half to see how cooked it is. Okay, You want to take a look at this? Alright, I can't get this stripping on my keyboard, but can you see this? Okay, I'm going to assume that this is cooked. Now, I'm going to put this bread back behind me, and I am going to you see this? I forgot to mix it. I didn't get on my bare hands and mix this, so I'm mixing this another way using this. Because you know what it is, I'm not too keen on getting my hands covered with raw meat and then of course having to go and wash my hands again and just do all that stuff. Alright. Okay. Alright, now my hands are not filthy. So, one of the things my mom had asked for is for me to fry up some of a pepper. I brought in a pepper the other day, and looking for where it should be. Oh, here it is. And whenever I get fresh vegetables, I always take some of the seeds and I always save them. Even if you don't use them for 3 or 4 years, they still have more viability than you'd think. So I'm going to tear off some of this. I don't have a whole lot of room in that skillet because it's a small skillet. I didn't see the point of getting a big skillet, you know, because you know they're so much heavier. Now I got this piece. Green pepper. Love the smell of it. Green. I'm gonna stick it right in the oil. See, this is why I was glad I used double the oil that I thought was needed. But you really do. Is anybody surprised that I added oil first? Some meats are particularly lean. Well, depending on if they say what the percentage of fat is in the grind, how they do it with ground beef. They usually say what the percentage of fat is. And fat does add flavor to them. But pork is often fairly lean. So, and you don't want it to stick and brown and burn when you're cooking it up, as again, I have done. Now, this light won't be helping me anymore. This is going to here, so this will give you a look. This is what's frying. This is what she already got. And I'm about to do some more with the bread. This will be for mine. I love this. I wish I had some rosemary. I actually do have some rosemary. What I think people should do more with rosemary, instead of leaving the needles, I think they should put it through a spice grinder and get it nice and powdery. Then a little goes a long way, and you could really incorporate it into dishes without having to pick big pieces from your teeth and stuff. Mmm. Let's see, where's the knife? Here's the knife. Okay. And I don't want to keep on dirtying extra dishes. I don't like squishy bread. I don't like white bread for the most part. I don't like Wonder Bread or anything squishy. I like things with a crust. I like things with texture. I like things that have substance. When I lived in San Francisco, I got exposed to amazing bakeries and just unforgettable breads. And coming back here, if you've ever been lucky enough to go into one of those casino VIP lounges, these casinos tend to have really excellent pastry departments. They have such good cooks in them. I got to experience breads that had it had rosemary in it, and it had onion in it, and it had garlic in it, and the kind of thing that you could put little delicacies on top of, and it was like. And if the name had a special, bread had a special name, I couldn't tell you what it was, but it was like, and this is before I got sober, okay, so, but I always appreciated good food, even though I've always been worried about eating too much and ruining the figure and all that stuff, and, sometimes having an unlimited supply is too much of a good thing, but, when my mom was in the nursing home and she was in a hospital and there was nobody to cook for but myself, it really wasn't fun, because when you got nobody else to cook for, it's not as much fun. And I was just open up a can of whatever. There are some canned vegetables you can even eat out of the can without heating, and they're not bad at all. Like peas and carrots, as long as the carrots and the peas are actually cooked well and they're not like straight out of the field and not cooked. But I want to show you a loaf of, this was a sourdough bread, and it was made at the closest ShopRite. Okay. I'm gonna here. Hope you can see. I love the tangy taste of sourdough. Real sourdough has an unforgettable flavor. And I read that it's actually very healthy for you too. Mmm. Mmm. Hey, some computer genius ever invents smell-o-vision, so you can smell what cooking videos, what people are getting, Maybe AI can help with that. I don't know. Alright, I think I've accomplished my mission. And a great thing about cutting up the spread and using it up is that it makes more room in the refrigerator. Because, I always say we don't need any more bread, we don't need any more of this category, we don't need any more of this category. But then sometimes you get presented with the opportunity to get a really exquisite bread. Like if I got the bread with the Kalamata olives in it, oh my goodness. If you ever get a chance to get that and get your hands on some lox, I recommend sliced lox on Kalamata olive bread. It is sublime. And I would go good with like cranberry juice or V8 if you want to go that route. Okay. Okay, good. Let's put it back. I think it's time for me to turn this. These peppers are taking a while to soften up. Ouch, 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 ouch. Oh, oh yeah, this is definitely. And I turned the fire down too. You know what? Sometimes with cast iron, because they retain the heat so much, you can actually just turn the fire off and let the heat keep it on cooking. And that's what I'm going to do, because you could see how blackened the patty looks on the side when I just turned it off. Okay. Now, I still want to soften up the peppers, because the peppers are going to go on my mom's burger. So, and I don't know, maybe she's fallen asleep, she's watching something on TV. I'm going to have to, right away I got the remote where I can grab it. Let's see. Oh, time for her bread. Ooh, and this had raw meat, so never touch anything that had raw meat on it. Alright, I'm going to use a smaller plate to serve her. Okay, this is more of a bowl than it is a plate, but I want to show it to you because it is really beautiful. And this was actually a ground score. I don't know if it was a chicken lady or who it was, but they set out a few things, and I just thought the colors were just really nice. And anyway, I took it. So now I'm going to build her burger. And I'm going to do it, since it's such a big burger, I'm going to give them to her one at a time. Okay? Ooh, oh, you know what? I'm going to need to go, I'm going to need to either get that, yeah, I'm going to have to get that bread back out again. You know what? I have some tomatoes on the kitchen table. I think I can give her one of those. They're not big ones. Now, this was not the neatest slice, but you know, it gets the job done, right? Oh, and just so you know, garlic and onions, mice don't like them, so they will stay away from those things. Yeah. All right. Now, oh, to get some. You know, these aren't going to be soft enough, but you know what? The thought that counts. So she's always complaining about food being too. Well, she complains that she doesn't like vegetables overcooked, but she doesn't like them undercooked. And some of the the food at the nursing home. She was always complaining about the food. Okay, I'm looking for salt. Hold that thought. See, we have a salt substitute here, but people on heart meds can't take it. So watch out if people think this is healthier. If any heart people never use that, you can only use the real thing. And she tries not to. She tries to avoid salt as much as possible. But hey, you need flavor. Shake some more. Oops. Alright, now, you see we got a problem here. We've got this. I'm going to take this with me. I'm going to take this. Follow me. Turn it off. Pull your shirt down. Pull your shirt down. Oh, okay, here, take this, please. Okay. Oops. Now, I want everybody to be a witness. Mom, now that's a specially seasoned pork burger. As you can see, I didn't forget your pepper. I tried. I'm afraid it's not as soft as you would like. Let me tell you what I put in it. Oh, duh. Here. So you see, Mom, she gets a special glamorous ring light. So, cause that's how, and I don't know what the hell I'm doing. But
it's hot.
It's hot, yes. But anyway, there is ground onion, ground garlic, ground cumin, ground turmeric, red pepper flakes, black pepper, and just a little tiny bit of salt at the very end, because I explained to them about, salt, but how, and anyway, that's how you can make pork taste real good. So, Mom, enjoy your dinner. Sorry it was this late, but it's good. Bon appetit. Okay, now, ladies and germs, my mom is still very much alive. Can we eat now? Thank you. Bye.